Hello everyone, good evening spiritualists. Tonight we're sitting in and we're going to do a little talk about demonology and witchcraft. And I did say to you on some of the videos that we would explain to you a bit more about what traditional witchcraft is and what we do and how it applies to the work that we do when we're outside. So witchcraft descended in mostly in this area, Pendle Hill, in the late 1500s, and we live about 20 miles away from Pendle Hill itself in Lancashire, in the Windsor Hill region. And witchcraft has always been prevalent in these parts since the 1600s, even 1550, and it's been passed down through generation to generation. And even today, we still traditionally practice pagan witchcraft rituals. But people are mostly interested in what happens on the darker side of witchcraft, which is where Andy comes in with his specialist subject of demonology. So we're going to ask him some questions tonight about demonology and demons, relevant demons, and let's hope we all learn something from it, because I still need to learn quite a bit about demonology myself too. So Andy, you're going to join us. And who have you come as tonight? It's like stars in their eyes, but for like demons.
Well, I come as...
Hi Andy, you're looking good tonight. You had a shave, obviously. You had a shave, guys.
Obviously, everybody knows what that is.
So Andy, you're going to talk to us a little bit about demons, demonology, and how all that works.
Well, demonology basically stands for a study of demons and probably the what people call the dark side of witchcraft, paganism, Satanism, whatever you call it. The thing is, it's only dark and it's only dangerous for people who haven't studied it, who haven't got a good, lengthy occult knowledge. And I'm talking a number of years of occult knowledge, learning from other people, talking to other people and it's people seem to have think about demons. Demons are basically, as people say, in a way like a spirit guide, but more, when you're conjuring demons, you're conjuring a specific demon for specific reasons. There are hundreds of demons, as people would call them. Some people guides, guardian angel or whatever. Now, the thing is, if you don't have the knowledge of these things, the occult and things like that, it can be dangerous. Yeah, it can be dangerous. There is no doubt about it. It can be dangerous. But the idea is to conjure these demons up, and as you are the master, they do what you want to do. And you close it down, and you open it up obviously the right way, and you close it down the right way, and you're protected. Now, these demons are very strong and cunning, and they can always spot somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, and that's where things start going wrong. Now, I have a few books here. I mean, people probably say, oh, you shouldn't be showing these books and things like that. But these books are available. You can get hold of them. Probably very hard to get hold of, but they are. I mean, the first one it's called the Goetia. It's otherwise known as the Lesser Key of Solomon the King. Now, this one was written by a very famous man who probably isn't as well known as the man who co-wrote the book with him, Aleister Crowley. A man called Samuel Liddell MacGregor Mathers, who was a member of the Golden Dawn, which was an occult society, and other so-called secret societies of the occult, who practiced the occult. He was a Freemason as well, but very, very knowledgeable man, very, very knowledgeable, and he wrote this translation, shall we say, with Aleister Crowley. The other one is the sacred magic of Abramelin the Mage. Now this ritual that is in here is the one which Aleister Crowley started up in Scotland at Boleskine House, and it was the reason he bought Boleskine House up in just overlooking Loch Ness, because it was the perfect place. He'd been looking for a long time for the perfect place. It had everything. The doors were in the right place, the windows were in the right place, it was very secluded, and it's sometimes called the Abramelin operation. Now this operation was going to take him 6 months. Now that's how much knowledge this man had, and how much dedication he was, and it was opening himself to his the holy guardian angel, and he was uncovering, I think somebody said it was about 40, 50 odd demons. Now he was hoping to use these for to further his own education in the occult. But for one reason or another, partway through it, he had to rush off to Paris, and I can't remember why, but he rushed off into Paris, he didn't close it down, and that's why all the stuff that was happening at Boleskine House has happened, and probably still is happening now. But that was it. That was the reason why. And people have gone up there and done investigations, and things have followed them home.
Yeah, that's one of the questions I've got to ask you. I've got a list of 10 questions to ask you about demons and demonology. Have you any other books you need to talk about first?
I mean, there is this one. It's called the Necronomicon. Now, anybody who's read any book by writer H.P. Lovecraft will be well aware of this, and probably thought it was a fictional book, but it isn't. It's all about, it's basically very similar to the other two books, the Abramelin the Mage and the Goetia. There are rituals about conjuring. What's in the calling here is the Ancient Ones, and people have probably heard of a book of his, or a film. They did make a film of it called The Call of Cthulhu. Now, these are about the Ancient Ones who come from far away. Now, some people say, are they demons or are they aliens? Now, I don't know, but you need to read this book, and there are conjurings here, there are a lot of symbols, talismans and symbols in here. It's a book that I would say, don't start using it until you're very, very knowledgeable, because it can be a dangerous book in the hands of somebody who hasn't got a very, very extensive occult knowledge.
Yeah.
I have done rituals out of these books. I haven't done the Abramelin the Mage because, one, it specifically states that you shouldn't start it if you're over the age of 50, which I am. One, that you're married, which I am. And it takes 6 months' time, so you need to be at the top of your health. You know, it's very, very difficult. I think very few people have actually tried it. Now, I've tried some of these rituals, and because of my knowledge, I'm protected. I know how to close it down. I'm protected and everything like that. So, but you do use them for different things.
Yeah.
Things in life.
We have some questions to ask Andy about demons and demonology, and I think these are quite regular questions that people, viewers especially, would want to know. You know, we're out there challenging spirits, and we're out there challenging aliens and all different things at the weekend, late at night. And are we protected? Well, we protect ourselves by our own personal spirit guides, and by the witchcraft that we do here, the circles, we do protective circles, we carry talismans and crystal stones with us and pentacles, that kind of thing, for protection. But when it comes to the demonic side, we need, you know, a hell of a lot more protection. So I'm going to ask Andy now some questions about demonology, and then hopefully it will clear up a few things for you, me, all of us. Okay, Andy, so are there any black demons, and what could they do?
There are demons of like, I think I explain this. All demons can be bad, right? In the wrong hands. You know, I look at them as more of a guardian, right? But they can be used in for a bad way, in a bad way. Now, and people do that, and you have to be the one who's in charge. It's like if you've got a dog that's out of control.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You've got to make sure that you are the one that is in charge. Now that thing on its own can be dangerous, but if you've got control of it, yeah. And it's the same with conjuring up demons. There are demons for everything you want. You know, I've used them to, how can I say, specifically sort somebody's behaviour. But if somebody's going to cause me problems, and I've gone down the ordinary channels of trying to discuss it with them and stuff like that, and if they just, as you get people just disrespectful, then I'm going to use that to disrespect. Not in a harmful way.
But like the Lytham Witchwoods, like the Lytham Witchwoods episode, guys.
But to get what I want, because at the end of the day, if somebody's causing me disrespect and upsetting my life, I'm going to do everything I possibly can to do it. And if it means by using that, then I will do.
Yeah.
And I have no outward thoughts of anything coming back on me, because I look at it on the fact that they're disrespecting me, I'm disrespecting them back, so we're all even then, aren't we?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and I will use it for that, and I won't cause anybody any physical harm or anything like that, but I'll just let them know who's the boss.
So this especially is for anybody who's out there doing paranormal investigations, would probably like to have the answer to this. If you have a demon latch onto you, how can you push it away?
Now, all I can say is, with that one, if a demon's latched onto you, then you haven't protected yourself in the way you should. Now, if we're talking about Ouija boards, then before you start a Ouija board, protect yourself. You know, surround yourself by light or whatever. And if you're not, if you, all you need when you're doing a Ouija board is you need somebody there who is knowledgeable, who knows, who can tell you when something's coming through that isn't what it says it is.
Yeah.
Now,
I think some people, paranormal people especially, worry about something following them home, and what can they do to prevent something negative from following them home.
I think just be firm.
Yeah.
I think you've got to be firm. Don't just go, if something comes through, just suddenly run out of the room, because that's going to make it worse. You've got to be firm in your views. You know, it's as simple as going, you cannot follow me, you are not allowed to follow me.
Yeah.
You are staying here. I am surrounded by light, I am protected, you cannot do it. But people who just go on Ouija boards and just chuck it away, then, you know, a lot of it and a lot of attachments are down to
weak people.
I hate to say it, people's stupidity.
Well, it is.
People who think it's a joke, and it's not a joke.
Not strong enough really to be taking on that kind of spirit. You know, it's like, you think about sort of serial killers and those kinds of people. We wouldn't be able to take them on board, like just talk to them in a regular way, or spend the day with them, whatever. I think it's kind of like that with demons too. If you're a strong enough person, you're able to command them and deal with them. But if you're a weak person or you're quite new to the paranormal, then you could probably be an easy victim.
See, that's my point, where you get people who get the boots and they want to conjure up something. Yeah, but these things that you're conjuring up, will know if you're strong enough.
Mm.
You've
Yeah,
got to be
that's true.
firm, and they will know if you know what you're doing. And if you don't know what you're doing, they'll take over your life. It's as I've used it before. You buy a dog, a big dog. I'm not mentioning any breed, but if you don't show them who is the master, they'll ruin your life.
Yeah.
They'll destroy your life. And
That's a good way of describing it, that actually, to people out there. It's
the same.
Understandable.
It's the same. And don't ever start trying to do any of these things if you're not strong enough or you don't have a full belief in it. If you don't have a full belief in it, then you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to be strong. You've got to be strong, and you've got to know what you're doing. So, yeah.
Okay, can a demon affect a person's mood or cause a change in personality?
Yeah, of course it can. Yeah.
Because I've known people in the past that have had associations with, that side, and they've come back a totally different person when I've seen them the next time. It's like, what's wrong with you? Are you ill? You just, yourself, and there's a total change in that person. And I just wonder sometimes, can that affect, have a long-term effect on a person?
Yes, because when you're asking them to do something, if you don't get that spirit out, once you've done what you've done and you've conjured it, or you need to banish it back to where it was, that's where they're going.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't, they're going to stick with you, and instead of what you wanted them to do, they're going to impose that on you, and
Right.
they're going to destroy you because you haven't put them back, shall we say, put them back in the cage.
Yeah.
You haven't, or you've put them back in the cage, but you've left that door open a little bit, so that rabid dog's going to come out and go for you. Don't tell me what to do. So you've got to push that back. You've got to be the boss. You are telling them what you want, and this is what happens when people don't. You've got to treat them with respect. If you treat them with respect, then you will find things happen.
Yeah. Okay. If you work with a demon and then you no longer want to work with that demon, can that make a problem?
No.
So you can just sort of if you've been working with one demon for a year, 2 years, you decide you want to switch to a different one, you can ask that one to leave and you want to bring forth a separate one. That wouldn't make any sort of hostility between them or any issues for you.
Yeah, it's like you would. You got to be disrespectful, respectful about it. Really, at the end of the day, they're here to help you on your path. So you wouldn't be if you go and finding a better job, you wouldn't suddenly just call all your friends, would you?
No.
You'd just say, look, at my time I need to move on. Now, you may need because all these demons and things like that, they're all have different strengths, like different people. Whereas if your toilet was flooded, you wouldn't call an electrician, would you?
No.
So it's the same.
Call Chakra Dave.
Yeah.
Chakra Dave.
Yeah, but it's like that. You use them for different things, and I don't think it makes any difference.
Yeah.
You're not like, oh, I'm stuck with that one. You may use one of them more than you do the other, but I'm not stuck with that one, and that's how it works. Once you've called them away, they're probably working with other people and things like that. So no, you don't have a problem with working with different ones. I work with different ones for different reasons, because they're more for certain areas.
Yeah, I only work with the one, and every time I have a witchcraft circle in this room on my own, significant times of the year, then I call him forth. And I must admit, things do tend to have a lot more power and energy after I've had this circle and invited him forward. It does seem to give like an extra, energy to whatever it is that you're doing, Yeah, so you do feel it. I do feel a difference.
But sometimes they'll be drawn to you.
Okay, so which demon do you work with the most? Do you want to name your demon, or do you not want to say?
I'd rather not.
Well, I'd rather not say it. It's funny that, isn't it? It's like you.
Be honest with you. No.
I don't want to be
I don't
advertising.
wanna be-
This demon is. Oh my God! There's my broomstick. It's my broomstick, guys.
No, I don't.
I work with one anyway. A very good one, a very strong one. And how many? Do you have more than one? Because Andy and I do work separately on witchcraft. We follow different patterns. I follow the pagan, traditional herbs, stones, spells, and the ancient Egyptian stuff. And Andy follows the more kind of ceremonial magic, Aleister Crowley and Viking way. So we do kind of work differently. We don't work together all the time on, particularly on rituals.
See, a lot of people would say I work with the dark side of things. Now, it depends what your beliefs are, whether I'm on the dark side or what. I work with these things, they work for me. And I've got to a point after all these years that I'm quite happy. You'd have said to me 20 years ago would have been conjuring up demons and things like that, I'd have probably said to you no, because I wouldn't have been anywhere near. And I've found now that rather than me go looking for books find me.
Books do find you. It's true that.
Books find me.
I think that comes the whole of witchcraft really. Once you've started it and you get really into it, things that you need just randomly turn up, whether it's in an antique place or somebody gives it you as a gift or whatever. You just end up with these objects that you need at that time.
Yeah,
it's so uncanny how that happens, isn't it?
I can be a point where I try to get ahead of myself, and then I think no, you need to. It's like
comes when it's ready, doesn't it?
It's like
Aleister Crowley's Moonchild.
It's like I'm taking an exam, but I need to go back and retake it.
Yeah.
And there's certain things that have appeared at certain times. I started off, God, years and years and years, 40 odd years ago, with basic boots, but not attempting to start the rituals. I read books with Book of Shadows in, and I wouldn't start them until I read that book a couple of times to know what I was doing and if it was right to do it. So now I've got to the point now where people say so-called dark side. It depends on what your religion is and what your belief is. You see, if you're of a certain religion, everything that I probably do, I am condemned. I'm condemned to go downstairs. When I go, but that's because I'm gonna. If I really went on with what I thought, I could be in. I'd probably end up in a lot of trouble, and a lot of people chasing me, and people, wanted to.
Okay. People that have been possessed by demons, does it tend to be the same demon, or can it be different ones? And what causes people to be possessed by demons?
Doing things that they shouldn't be doing.
Because the name Zozo turns up quite a lot. Now, is Zozo a real demon, or is that just...
Zozo, I've read this a lot. Now, Zozo is this thing that is a so-called demon who only tends to come up on Ouija boards.
Yeah.
So this name is attached to the Ouija board. Now, I've looked and there's nothing I've ever read anywhere that there actually is a demon called Zozo. And I even looked at it and everything, and I've tried, and all I can think of is this Zozo is maybe some ancient spelling of another demon.
Yeah.
No, that's all right. But as far as I'm aware, the only time Zozo has ever come up is through Ouija boards.
But it did happen
But
for
people have been attacked. It has been attacked.
you know, TFIL Overnight, the American paranormal crew that are on YouTube. Corey, one of the guys, he got Zozo coming up on his Ouija board quite a lot. It's so much so that now he shuts the Ouija board down and walks away because it caused him a lot of problems in the past. He openly talks about that now on his programs.
Yeah, I mean, but I've never come across it. But all I can think is it something else? But as again I said, attachments are for people who are either at a low point and stuff like that, and they're not strong. And it will, and it does, it can happen. Now, there are a lot of possessions that probably are possessions that are probably more mental health.
Yeah.
But I've seen videos of things that people have happened in possessions, and you're like, you can't explain that with mental health. But like I said again, people, not necessarily the person who has the attachment, who it's latched onto. It can be other people who've been doing it, but it's attracted to that because that person might be to just ruin some part of somebody's life. But it's like I said again, don't be doing these things if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's all I can emphasise is it's not a game. Ouija boards aren't a game.
I know, and I think people watch films and want to have a go, you know, they'll go to a party and they'll turn up with a Ouija board and then, hey, this is fun, let's do this. But we know a house not far from us, don't we? I'd say about 10 miles, 8 miles away maybe, that's had an attachment to that house now for at least 30 years because of people playing around with Ouija boards at a party and letting something in. And they've had nothing but issues with this house. It's in the local papers all the time. And they still haven't been able to get rid of this entity yet. And all kinds of people in there. There's been priests, there's been people in burning sage, there's been, you know, all kinds of psychics and clairvoyants going in, and there's been all different kinds of blessings going on, and they still can't get rid of it. And that all started with a family playing with a Ouija board one night and not opening it properly and protecting themselves. And I think a lot of people watch the films and think, oh yeah, let's get a Ouija board, it'll be fun to try and contact the other side. But those things go back so many centuries, and if they're not used properly, they can be so dangerous.
I mean, a lot of people, but a Ouija board is just another...
well, it's an oracle, really, that's what it was, isn't it?
It's a way of getting answers. It's, you know, people say, oh, you're using a Ouija... People won't go... I've known people who refuse to go on a Ouija board, but will use a glass round a table. They will use spirit talker. It's exactly the
Just
same.
a more modern form, isn't it?
Thing with the spirit talker is you can turn it off.
Yeah.
And that's it. You've shut it out. Ouija board, you have to shut it down yourself. It's the same. But
do you think though that Ouija boards can draw you to them? Because I remember about 6 months ago we were looking around Bygone Times, the antique place. Now I've never really wanted to own a Ouija board of my own or anything like that, and I was wandering around this particular day just looking at different pieces of different things, and there was a second-hand Ouija board sort of sticking out behind something else, and I was just drawn to it like a magnet, and I thought, I want that Ouija board, I have to have that Ouija board, I have to leave. And you had to pull me out of Bygone Times because I was like, I want the Ouija. And I was like, what are you doing? It's a used one, you know. And if you're going to get a Ouija board,
do not get a used
you get a brand new one, yeah, that's not been used. It's not got anybody else's energies in. You don't know what they've been doing, you know. So if you get a brand new one that's not been touched, you can bless it yourself, or you can protect it with salt water or whatever, and don't let anyone touch it unless you're with them, and then that way you probably won't get something that's got a demonic attachment or anything else that can go wrong with a Ouija board. I know my dad had a really bad experience with one when I was a kid, and we used to talk about the occult and Ouija boards quite a lot. And he said to me, "Look, I can't tell you what to do. You'll make up your own mind, but this is what happened to me." And he told me this story. He was on his own alone one night, and he was using the Ouija board. Glass was going around, quite fast. It was spelling out names of people in our family. And unfortunately, one of those names that came up on that board was my uncle, who tragically died in a car accident not much longer after that, happened after the Ouija board session. But during the actual Ouija board session, it was going mad, the glass, and my dad was getting a bit worried because it was getting out of control. So he took a crucifix from the mantelpiece and put it right in the middle of the board and said, "Look, I don't think you are who you say you are. I think you're lying." As he did that, the glass shut off the board and smashed against the wall, and he panicked and just folded the thing up, and I think he took it out in the garden and burned it, which really is the worst thing you can do with a Ouija board. You're supposed to, any object like that, you're supposed to bury it really out of sight. So that always put me off using them, but lately, because we've been doing a lot of paranormals with different groups and lots of different people up and down the country who are, well sort of educated on occult, and they've been doing Ouija boards for years and never had any problems. We've started to get involved in that side of it now, because we feel safe when we're with a group of people who protect the board, and we do our own protection, and they explain if anything comes through negative, they're going to shut it down straight away. So now we've started to, we do go on the Ouija board now, but after a lot of conversations about it, weren't it, and a lot of thought. But so far, we have used it a few times now in different places. We're just getting the spirits of connected to people that are with us, parents that have passed over, or family members or friends that have passed over that are coming back just to give a message. That's really all we've had, isn't it, so far?
All I'm going to say is, I've been doing this for a long time, and I've been doing rituals for conjuring demons and things like that, right? The only ever really, really bad experiences I've ever had in life are from living people.
That's true. That's true.
All around the world, there's chaos and there's people dying and things like that. Not caused by demons, caused by one thing. Caused by the biggest killer in the whole of time, and that's religion. That's religion. Nobody has ever fought a war of paganism. Nobody has ever fought a war with witchcraft because of witches. Witches have never caused a war. Even Satanists, there's never been a war because started by Satanists. That's all I'm saying. That's my word on people who tell me that I'm wrong.
Yeah.
My religion has never started any war.
So, I know we use 666 in our spiritual encounters, but what does it actually refer to?
666 is a magical number. The same as 333. It's 418. The magical numbers. Now people go into the Bible and you look, and the mark of the beast is 666. That's where it comes up. But 666 it's just a magical. It's a magical number. It's used a lot in occult practices. Yeah, the pentagram is used by Freemasons and the Masons. Now, most of the people who run the world are Masons, or an offshoot of the Masons and different secret societies. They use the pentagram.
Yeah, they do.
They use the pentagram and occult symbols.
Okay. Do you think that demons can drive people to drugs or alcohol? Like anybody's sort of demonic attachment can get driven to using drugs and alcohol?
Yeah, because if they're doing it wrong, but then again, a lot of the time, if somebody will have that thing, that addictive nature in the body, most people can push it away. But if you're a low point and you've been doing things you shouldn't be doing, then yeah, you can be pushed for that.
Fuel it, wouldn't it?
But it can be a part of pulling you back from it. It can be a focus of something. You know, I'm going to learn more knowledge. I'm going to learn it, and it could pull you back. But yeah. I mean, I think a lot of it is people have done things, have messed with, dabbles in the dark of what they call as dark arts. I mean, I don't see it as that myself. But it can cause depression. It can cause depression.
Yeah, like a melancholy, like a subdued kind of demeanour in someone.
Yeah, people let things take them over.
Yeah.
Because they're at a low point, and yeah, you've got to be careful when you're doing it. You've got to be careful. You know what you're doing. You've got to be careful. It's not a game. It's not a game. Conjuring these things up isn't a game, and it's not for anybody to do. You know.
So, are there any demons we should especially look out for?
No, I don't think. No, because there's nothing that you should really, as somebody who practices the occult witchcraft, no, it shouldn't be. Because if you should know when you're trying to call up a demon, spirit, or whatever you want to call it, you should really know about them, what they're capable of, what their personal traits are like, what the personality, you know, sort of like you wouldn't buy something off somebody you didn't trust, would you? So you need to look. Don't just go in and go, oh, that looks a fancy name. I'll call up Pazuzu. That sounds really nice. I've seen it in that film, The Exorcist. You just look what the personality. You can find out what they're like, and then
because you've got your book of demons on you there.
But not only that, you know who they are, what they're like. So you've got that upper hand on them. Yeah, they'll know you, and they'll know your weaknesses.
Like what was the one I mentioned today? Balaam, that's it. It turned up in the book I'm reading at the minute.
Balaam.
Balaam, and I stand it. Which demon is Balaam? So you looked in your register of demons, didn't you? And he's there. So I mean, this book was written 1850. It's a Dostoevsky novel, and it just, I was surprised really that they would have so much knowledge about demons back in those days. But so I asked Andy to look this demon up. That's how we got talking about demonology, and that's why we decided to do this piece tonight, because to be fair, we get asked this question a lot, you know, when we're out and about and doing different paranormal, especially in abandoned places and all that. People say, you're not bothered that you will get like a demonic attachment that will follow you home. And I explained that, you know, we are witches and we do protection, and Andy is also, you know, very knowledgeable in demonology. But I think it's a fear for a lot of people. When we go into group paranormal investigations, a lot of the things that people ask is anything going to follow me home? How can we stop things from following me home? It is a big fear for people, that. So we wanted to do this interview, you know, this chat on demons and demonology to hopefully clear up a few misconceptions that people have about demons. And the last and final thing I put on my list, and I've actually put demons and Martians. Nobody calls aliens Martians anymore. Demons and Martians. If demons and Martians met, are you going to do your Martian impression? He's got to do his mash. Do you remember the Smash advert, the old mashed potato advert? The mash gets smashed, the Martian. Do your Martian.
That was great.
I'm not stopping the camera until you've done your Martian.
That was great, that.
Do your Martian.
He used to come on and he used to say...
We're not leaving until you've done the mash.
Pick up a potato and they peel them with their metal knives and they all just go, ha 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 ha.
But what did they really do?
Then they boil them for 20 minutes, ha 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 ha. Then they smashed them all the bits, and they'd always used to be one with his legs in the air like that.
And you better tell the viewers what you did in that hotel down south that time.
What are we doing?
We were having a conversation about mashed potatoes.
And that guy.
And there was people milling around in the lounge, and he started to do his Martian impression like that, kicking his legs up on the couch. And he was just stood looking at you
that
like...
guy just stood there looking.
Who brought him on holiday? Take him home, he needs help.
But he just looked up there, that guy, and he went, well, it takes everything to make a world. And you know, funny, later on that night, I got in the lift with that,
didn't he?
I got in the lift with that guy, and he got off the, he got out the floor before he needed to. No, he did.
Martians, that's an old-fashioned word, isn't it? Martians. Anyway, what do you think would happen if demons and aliens met? Because, you know, we're doing the UFO thing now, guys.
Well...
Or do you think there's a connection or something at any... I mean, it's like two separate worlds.
Dude.
We've been out doing UFO stuff now for a couple of weeks, and when we're up on the tops here at Winter Hill, it's like... You think, but it's also haunted, this place. So does it overlap,
but
or do you keep them separate?
But you look... And anybody who's read H.P. Lovecraft stories, they look as though it's like people are doing rituals in these things, and they're conjuring up these, well, demons or spirits or whatever. Now, when you read it, these spirits, anybody who knows about Lovecraft and what these people look like, called the ancient ones, they're more like octopuses, that sort of look,
like Davy Jones,
who have come from a faraway place, and it's like, are they demons and that? And that's where the Necronomicon comes in. Yeah. Demons, aliens.
I mean, it's like, do aliens know about demons, and do demons know about aliens? This is the thing that, you know, because you go off investigating this, and you go off investigating that, and you think, do the two meet? You know, do aliens believe in ghosts? You know, do aliens have ghosts where they come from? There's a lot of mystery still out there.
Yeah, but a lot of that combines, and all I'll say is, there are a lot of people, obviously, because of the way the world is now, the very liberal world that you can't say this, you can't say that, and you can't say the other. There's a lot of the old writers. Lovecraft was around at a time where, yeah, probably wasn't very PC, and there are some things in his books that you look at and you go, shouldn't really say that. But you got to remember it was at the time, and that doesn't take anything away. There are a couple of things that he comes out with and he says about things that you should, but don't take away from the fact that this guy is one hell of a writer. He's mine, same as Edgar Allan Poe. You know, because he had, last few years he's had a bit of a backlash because of how he wrote, but don't take that away from him. This guy was a man of his time, you know, and you look at even your great psychologists, you look at people like Freud and like that, you know, but you've got to remember that the time that they lived in, you know, if they'd have been alive now, they wouldn't have been, they'd have worded things different.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had a bit about, but his stories are absolutely amazing. And some of the stuff he comes out with, and there's especially one, Mountains of Madness, about a story in Antarctica.
Oh, about the hole in the ice
places that are exploring and things like that. Now that goes back to stories that we've heard about things and places you can't go in Antarctica.
This actually even, and I'll keep going on about Captain Cook. When he sailed down to the Antarctic, there was already a hole in the ice when he got there. Captain Cook, when he sailed down to the Antarctic in 1780, thereabouts, they could only get so far. They wanted to go down to the ice caps to study the penguins. They could only get so far because there was a great hole in the ice. Now, our government and all these climate change people are telling us that that hole in the ice is what's causing the global warming and everything. But if you watch the programmes on Blaze that where people are actually coming forward now who used to work for the military to say what they've seen, like by UFOs and stuff like that. One pilot who used to fly down to the South Pole regularly, taking scientists and people like that there, was leaving the Antarctic and flying back, to the States, and he saw the hole in the ice, and he saw silver discs coming up and hovering in the air above the ice, and he saw this with his own eyes, and he just couldn't believe it. He wasn't allowed to talk about that when he got back, but since he left the army, like a lot of them, like the two guys at the Rendlesham Forest incident in 1980, once they've left the army, then they come forward, and now they're giving open interviews to people about what they've witnessed, what they'd seen. So it seems as though there's been a hole in the ice, and the theory with a lot of people now is, are there alien craft going in and out of this hole in the ice? Because think about it, they've been seen to go underwater so they can stand water, they can zip off into the solar system so the oxygen or the atmospheric pressure or anything doesn't bother them. They've been seen even in the hottest deserts, in Roswell itself, and they've been seen at the Antarctic, which is icy cold, so you think they can obviously survive any temperatures.
And that's it. The thing is, there's certain places of Antarctica you're not allowed to go.
Yeah, because
you've got to get permits to go. Now you can think, well,
when Sam Neill did
why?
the programme,
if it's supposedly just ice, yeah, I can understand. You've got animal life and life there, things like that. But obviously, you're not just going to turn up in your car there, so you're obviously going to go on a special thing,
You can
like a
fly in or
the guy.
go by
But
ship.
there are certain places that you've got to have special permits, and getting those permits is like, you might as well not bother people like me and you. So what's the big secret?
Well, Sam Neill,
You know what I mean? It's
when he did his Captain Cook diaries, he actually went everywhere by boat where Captain Cook went and did the diaries. And he went, when he got to the Antarctic, he wasn't allowed in. They wouldn't let him in because it was just, closed off. It was top secret. It was something's going on at the Antarctic, more than global warming.
and that's what